Hello and welcome, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you the top 10 most brilliant Ark Tames. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So in at number 10 I've decided to put the Mantis, and I really do love this as a creature. This is just a go-to one for me when I think of gathering, and for its insane ability, which everyone knows really that no other Ark creature has apart from the Mantis. I really think it is brilliant. It's innovative in its design, and it's been in the game for absolutely ages. It's sort of insane that no one really talks about this creature more, as I find this is a really useful and effective one. I love this just as a general creature, and I love all of its abilities. Obviously its main one being the fact that it can just wield melee weapons. I'm pretty sure that's really its only one, so I don't know why I was going for plurals there, but you know, hey ho, we'll go along with it, shall we? Yes, that is just an ability which you don't see on other creatures, and it makes it a very versatile killing creature and also a gathering mount too, and they're both very nice things to have, especially within the same creature. That is especially nice of them to have, because you know, it just adds to the sort of atmosphere and ambience of the creature and just makes them even more brilliant. Next up, I've decided to put the Argentavis, as I really just love this as a flying creature, and it has done a heck of a lot for me when it comes to just my Ark playing in general. It's actually sort of insane what I've managed to get out of the RG. It is one of those creatures where I'm like, if this was not in the game, I do not know where I would be right now. It is just done so much for me as a flying mount, as a resource to repair my armor, as a resource to pick up other creatures and do loads of farming with them, as a resource, as a sort of travel mount to get to caves and whatnot, and also to travel my Bionics around everywhere, and also just to be such a great creature that can fly over long distances and carry metal whenever I need it to. The RG has just always been there for me, and it is just so well designed that this really is one of those creatures where I have to include it in the brilliant Ark Tames list. It's always been there. We all know and love this creature, and it is just truly an effective one. But is it as effective as the next creature on the list? Now, the Crystal Wyvern is just a really versatile flyer in my opinion. It's everything that the Wyvern stands for and is, but with a much easier taming method, and I think with better elemental abilities. Whether or not you think the Argentavis is best in this, that all comes down to your own personal opinion, but just considering how easy this thing is to tame and the insane versatility you get with this creature, I do simply have to put it higher. My personal favourite is the Blood Crystal Wyvern, by the way. Just love that elemental ability that it has. Comment down below your favourite Crystal Wyvern if you do have one. If not, I strongly recommend you go try one. They are on the top 10 most brilliant Ark creatures according to me, after all. But you know, form your own opinions. You're allowed to disagree with this list as always. You can comment down below if you feel like I haven't done a good job with this one, but I just think it's the Wyvern, but better really. Yes, you need to be level 60 and you need to knock out a Wyvern to get the Primal Crystal, but it's a passive tame, and on top of that they have the hydration buff too. If you want to stick those wings in the water a little bit, then you might be able to manage to get that hydration buff on you and do even more damage in the skies. Sorry, my hiccups are being a bit of a pain at the moment. In number 7, I've decided to put the Reaper, as this is just such a good element of game design. It really does deserve to be on the list, doesn't it? When thinking about this creature, I always think of the ambience and the atmosphere that it has on a map like Aberration. I always tend to pronounce that wrong. I'm slowly getting better at this. I will fully get it right at some point. But yes, it is just so well built into its map, and it is just so versatile in its abilities too. It really is just a great one to have. On top of that, its taming method is one of the coolest in the game. You have to get this Reaper Queen down to less than 1,000 health, and then after that it will impregnate you, and you need to gather as much XP as possible to make sure that thing is going to be a good strong baby. Obviously getting that 100% effectiveness, which, you know, if you're going through all the effort, you probably should be attaining, unless your rates are absurdly high and you don't have the time to do it. Then it's a little bit of a cop out really, in my opinion. But you know, you're allowed to use your own rates. I tend to be maybe 2.5x at most, like just kind of default single player settings. I don't really digress from the mean too much. Also, this creature is just like peak Ark Xenomorph moment, and is there really something that's cooler than that? The Shadow Mane is one of those tames where you need to include it on a brilliant Ark Tames list, at least from my perspective, this being a highlight of any Gen 2 player's life, and just actually now my Ark playing life. And before you comment down below about all of these creatures, like basically all of them not being an ASA, the Mantis and the IGR, the Reaper and the Crystal Wyvern aren't, I don't really care too much. Yes, ASC may be discontinued, but it still has a very active player base, and it's pretty much still split half and half down the middle, and I still definitely spent a lot of my time on ASE because all the content's there, and personally I just prefer it as a game. But I'm sure when all the content's out on ASA I might make the switch, and also if I can afford to not have my room being like 10 million degrees whenever I start running the game, because it is so damn demanding. Not to say Ark isn't as well, but it is significantly less demanding. If someone says, well, you do it for the looks, I play a game because I enjoy said game. Like, you could say Crisis doesn't really look too great anymore, but it's still a great game. I'm still going to play it. You might want to play the remastered one though, because the performance is actually better for once. In at number 5, coming away from the Crisis conversation, that was a little bit of a very big digression from the mean, you could say, we're going to talk about the Bloodstalker, because come on, this is one of those creatures where it is so nice to have as an underwater mount. You may have not discovered this from your perspective, but just from my perspective, generally I always love this thing as an underwater mount, and I will settle for nothing less when it comes to underwater tames. Yes, the Megalodon, the Mosa if it had a little bit of TLC, and the Ichthyosaurus are great underwater mounts and you can use them, but this does everything that they do for me apart from the damage aspect, but it still can pack a fair punch. Just you wouldn't be doing the motor with it, but most of the times I'm not doing the motor, which is pretty much actually all the time. I barely even do that boss fight, and yeah, it's largely insignificant to be honest. And for everything else, this does everything that I need it to. It is fast, agile, you can see the aggros of all of the creatures as well, and you can skate on the top of the water too. It is just a marvel of design in my opinion, and I love how it's integrated. It's not just also a great underwater mount, it's obviously a great general travel mount, and I really do adore it for all of its traveling abilities. It just can go really insanely fast, and you can just get a lot done with a creature like this. It is just so worth having, and if you haven't got a Bloodstalker already and you have access to tame one, you might as well already. You are wasting your time with not getting one of these things. The Desmodus is one of those creatures where you really can't forget that it is one of the most brilliant Ark Tames coming out on Fielder, so a very recent one. Again, still not on ASA, but I don't care about that. Again, I'm not going to digress on the meme too much, so I've said that 3 times in this video, so I'm not going to say it again. Talking about the Desmodus, they obviously have the Sanguine Elixir, which is an absolute cheat for tames. 30% of it done like that. All you have to do, chuck it in the inventory, press E or whatever button you want to use, depending on what device you're on. Then yeah, there you go, 30% of the tame done like that. And obviously they're Bloodbag farms, and I love my Bloodstalkers. It was literally the previous creature on the list, so you bet I'm going to love this creature for all the Bloodbag gathering, not only so I can tame more Desmoduses, because it's the exact same taming method, but also so I can tame more Bloodstalkers. They are very nice flyers as well. That gliding ability is well sought after. It's nice and snarl too, but I find it's even better in the Desmodus, and they can go invisible at night too. But I think I chose the wrong biome for this, because it's one of the only that does not have a day and night cycle. In number 3, we've got the Bionics. This is always the king for me when it comes to any kind of caving mount, and there is no competition whatsoever. Nothing is going to change my absolute love for the Bionics as a brilliant Ark Tame. It is fast, it is speedy, it is capable of so much as a tame, and it is a great caving mount, which is its main ability really. This thing is just the perfect size to fit into any cave, apart from the Affected Skylords, but you struggle even probably bringing a Dung Beetle in there. But you know, that's besides the point really. For everything else, you're going to love this creature. You're not going to need to cry in between phases, and it has got a very nice health stat, and on top of that, great health, great stamina, and great mobility too. And that's something which is really needed in a cave environment. You want to be able to get out of some situations, because yes, you're going to be killing a lot of those pesky bugs down there, but you're also going to be doing quite a lot of just avoiding things in general. You're not going to be killing everything that comes full force blazing in front of you. You are going to be doing quite a bit of just running away too, because you know, it's more practical to do it that way, at least from my point of view, and it's great at doing that. It's also great for the underwater caves with that stun spin attack that can stun creatures up to the size of Megalodon. In at number 2, we've got the Mwing. This is the best just travel mount out there, and I love what this stands for as a creature. It is so versatile, it is so agile, it is so easy to tame, and sort of a little bit game changing really, and all the best players are really using this thing for travel because they realize just how good it is. And I know I don't demonstrate it the best in this B-roll, especially to the environment that I'm in, but in very flat environments too, you can pick up a lot of speed and traverse the landscape with absolute ease. Yes, the rock drake can sort of do the same, but it kind of struggles a little bit more, and I'm not sure with the reasons behind it, but the Mwing is simply a better glider. The silo was also unlocked at level 18 too, so there's no complaining with levels, but you probably want to be level 21 because if you get some Trankos, once you have a couple of signs, you can easily knock out one of the extremely high level ones, being whatever the highest level is on your server or world. And from that, you can just get yourself the best Mwing right off the bat. You don't need to go for low levels first. Honestly, just prepare and get a really good one. Trap it simply with those signs and trank it and you'll be fine. They also act as a portable feeding trough and glide on the top of the water. They're pretty good swimmers and they can gather berries too. And finally, in at number 1, I've decided to put the Deinonychus because, come on, this creature is one of those where you really do have to celebrate it for its brilliance, at least in my opinion. This is one of those tames where they're ridiculously easy. You simply steal their eggs from their nest, use a grappling hook or some kind of flyer to get away. You don't even need that really, you can just kamikaze yourself and pick up your body at a later date. You still get out fine, and then just use some torches and raise this thing, just feed it a little bit of meat, and as long as you're not playing on an official server, it's not going to take too long. And 2.5x, it shouldn't take more than maybe an hour or two to get one of these things fully raised, and you only need to do that twice, especially if you know you're going to be breeding these things, because that's going to be extremely useful to you for boss fights and just building a pack of these things. I wouldn't just recommend, you know, always raising them straight from scratch, where you're going to have to anyway when you're breeding, but you know what I mean. It's not going to be as much effort to get through everything. You just simply have to wait for that egg to incubate, but the egg is going to be much more easily obtained. These things have it can deal bleed damage to bosses as well, like you've seen it there on that Bronto. They can do the same thing to a boss, which is just insane, ripping them to shreds, stealing that bleed ability. They take no fall damage on top of this as well, and they can scale any kind of wall or vertical surface to have the pack buff, which is just lovely to have, especially in a boss fighting scenario, because you're going to be doing insane damage on top of that, and they really just are the most brilliant Ark Tames. I could bang on about them for ages, but I'll stop. Now, of course, we must shout out our patrons, Ekaterina Puchkova and Karina Thorne, who are our paid Patreon members at the moment. Thank you for all your support. I really appreciate everyone on this list. Everyone else is, of course, free members. Thanks for the support, though.